Y'all want to vilify this woman so bad. You want this woman to not be a victim so bad, so you can keep telling this lie about women that all they want to do is lie, manipulate, and steal, and do all of this stuff. Whole time, nobody is denying that Diddy was putting hands and feet on this woman regularly.
It was like, anytime they had intimacy, it would have to be this production of a freak off.
And then women on TikTok are gonna gaslight you into thinking that you a hero for taking on all her bullshit, when you really, none of them bitches is gonna acknowledge all the shit that she put you through.
The lack of compassion that men have for abused people, specifically women and children, and the lack of understanding, the willful ignorance that men have surrounding, abuse, it's concerning. It really is concerning. And it also puts me in this place where I can't help but to acknowledge the fact that the majority of men are abusive, because there's no way you don't understand abuse and you don't have any interest in understanding abuse, and then you make me believe that you're not abusive, because it's so easy for men to be abusive if we don't understand what abuse is. It's so easy for us to be abusive. So when I hear men talking like this about victims of abuse, I'm like, okay. And then I see the men going, yeah, brother, and supporting it. I'm like, all right, it's pretty evident that men are just, like, most men are out here just abusing women, right?
Imagine your wife cheats on you and you take her back. Y'all work the shit out. Then years later, down the line, you have to find out how and exactly what ways she was cheating on you. So you find out not only was she just cheating on you with one dude, she was getting triple, quadruple teamed, double teamed, drinking other niggas' bee juice. I mean, just let niggas do whatever. And not to mention, she also had an affair with Diddy, the nigga that she said abused her. She had an affair with this nigga. And then women on TikTok are gonna gaslight you into thinking that you a hero for taking on all her bullshit, when you really, none of them bitches is gonna acknowledge all the shit that she put you through. This is why women don't get the respect that they beg for in society, because they don't tell the truth under any circumstances unless it benefits them. Calling Cassie husband a hero for staying with her all through all her cheating and all the bullshit, knowing damn well if this was another man getting, if this was a man getting caught up and getting exposed for doing this shit to his wife, y'all had this bitch y'all be with have pitchforks on this bitch. Y'all are.
So we're gonna ignore the fact that Cassie is a victim. Let's just start there. Cassie is a victim. Right? She could be responsible for some stuff. I don't know what stuff we want her to be responsible for, but I'm just, whatever you feel like she needs to be responsible for, fine. But can we start that she is a victim? What I was saying was, and you read his stupid ass, whatever he has up above there, it says, women are trying to paint Cassie's husband like a hero instead of a victim who was cheated on multiple times. Cassie is not a victim. Okay. Now, like I said, Cassie is a victim. And the fact that she, for whatever reason, wasn't able to, leave Puffy and all of that stuff, and him not understanding that that's what happens when you're in an abusive relationship, tells me that y'all just don't know shit about abuse. Like, you don't know shit about it, because everything that happened to Cassie, like all of her behavior is textbook of a person that was abused. It's textbook. It's not, there's no mystery. There's no like, oh, she went back to a nigga that was, yeah, that's called Stockholm syndrome. Like, there's a whole there. Yeah, it's a known thing. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is crazy. Let's hear some of the testimony so we can see some of the things that Cassie experienced during her relationship with Diddy, shall we?
So that's when they showed the picture of her in French Montana with the swoop, and she had a whole black eye and a gash. She was on GHB, and she was freaked out in the shower one time in the Hamptons. After she left OVO, she was freaked out in the Hamptons because she was so high. They was doing a freak off in the Hamptons, and everybody was scared because they were like, well, why is she tripping out? Like, why is she tripping out like this? Because she had, like, I guess she had a panic attack because she would have to take so much opioids because every time she would be with Diddy, they would have to do a freak off. And the way that she would talk about it, she was like, we probably did a freak off. It was like, I was like, damn, is that all y'all do? It was like, anytime they had intimacy, it would have to be this production of a freak off. Then they said, well, have you ever had, like, you know, like, have you have any residual scars or anything from? She said, I always will have this gash in the side of my face from that night. I just cover it with a lot of makeup. I showed you guys the red carpet where she got into that, where he hit her there. I showed you where Diddy pulled up the freak off video. I told you about the freak off videos where people around, she felt trapped, very fragile. He would tell her if she talked to anybody else, she did anything, he would expose her. He had been blackmailing her and threatening her.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right there. Okay. So for a perfect example, okay. She just said she felt trapped. She just said that that if, or Diddy told her that if she said anything, he would expose her. All of this stuff. Do you think that changed just because she got into a relationship with another man? You think that just stopped because she was in a relationship with her now husband? That just went away. Diddy was no longer threatening her once she got a husband, right? That's what I'm to believe based on what that other idiot was saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like you don't have any empathy. You don't want to understand this shit at all. You want to make Cassie out to be a problem when she was a victim the whole entire time. And all of her behavior can be directly traced back to her being victimized by Diddy. It's like, what the fuck?
To embarrass her. When Cassie was talking about leaving, and Diddy was very controlling. And then the son, when she would be like, when I would want to leave, you know, I couldn't leave. He was very controlling. He was very mean. Then I'm looking at Justin and the kids. Which one is it? The Christian, whatever one that looks at him, looks like him. I'm not saying that he agreed, but he kind of looked at his dad, like at his brother. It was kind of like, oh, shit, she ain't lying. But not like that, but kind of like, I don't know. They could have been talking about something else, but it just was that same thing. And he kind of did that look like, so I don't know if that is, this ain't good because Diddy is going through it, or she ain't lying. But then through all of this, Diddy is sitting there like this. He doing these. He jumping back. You could tell that he was nervous today. I got here. Cassie said, listen, I was scared. And I was in love. I think she was just scared and in love. And I wrote, Diddy is visibly uncomfortable, pushed back in his chair, seems to be irritated. He was so irritated when.
Again, more evidence. I was scared. I was scared. What were you afraid of? Him exposing you? Maybe worse. We already know he was extremely violent towards a woman. So I'm not understand. Like, again, do you think all of that went away once she got with this dude? You think that this billionaire abusive man just was like, yeah, you can go and live your best life? Diddy was, I don't know if y'all ever seen Kill Bill. Diddy was Bill. Y'all remember when Uma Thurman, Beatrix Kiddo or whatever, her character, when she left and she tried to get married and then Bill showed up to the wedding? That's Diddy. Like, and y'all up here talking about this fool up here talking about I don't know, she ain't a victim. Nigga, Diddy didn't let that woman just go freely and clean and was like, all right, well, you love somebody else. Love is love. No, motherfucker. He still had his hooks in that woman for years.
The drugs came in because they showed about 4 different pictures of her being beat up. Vacation times where she was beat up. Red carpets where she was beat down. Just like she was always getting her. They talked about a time in the car where he just stomped her out in the car. Stomped her out in the car with the windows down. Then they talked about a time where he just kicked her in the back because she went home. Well, that's probably, we get into it. It was always a problem if she didn't want to get high or do something. He was always a concern if she didn't want to get high or she didn't want to do a freak off. It would be a problem because it was every week. She didn't want to do that every week, she said. They had a whole text thread of communication of trying to get escorts. It got to the point where they were negotiating with escorts and how they were going to bring the escorts in and what escorts they was going to bring in. Then Diddy said, you know what? This escort, it was one that couldn't work at this time, was one that could work at this time. So Diddy said, you know what? This is what we'll do. We'll have Jake come at 10, and then we'll just get Jules at 1. So Jake would come for the first session, and then Jules would come for the second session. So then Cassie would have to get ready to go all night with 2 different men on the freak off. So then she would have to pop a valley. They call it a valley. The driver would then bring the volume for her to pop the volume. They said, then the next day she just sent him a heartfelt message. Had nothing to do with freak offs. She was just like, it was Father's Day. It was something along the lines like, I hope.
This is how you know. This is what I'm saying. This is how you know. And this is what is confusing to men. There's a part of it because they don't understand abuse and the effects of abuse. That's why they like, yo, shit. This is a part of the reason why I'm saying. That's not the only reason why. They're lying straight up and down. But this is the type of stuff they're using to be like, see, how can this be true and that be true? This is crazy.
That we can one day have a kid and, he'd be as great as you and a kid of our own. And I appreciate everything that you've done for me and I love you. And, something very nice and heartfelt. And they were like, well, why did you send that? She said, I loved him. And it was Father's Day. I'm like, wow, she really loved that man. She really loved that man.
Not shocking at all. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked to hear that one bit. My jaw stayed in place.
And then there was an email that they had rolled up and it said, I feel like you're treating me like Ike Turner. I said, what do you mean? She just was getting beat every day. So what the prosecution was doing, they were showing that she was trapped, getting beat, and she was being forced for prostitution or at least hiring escorts. So then they denied the 10 pages of text messages that they were trying to do. So then the defense tried to, because they were showing a lot of text message threads. So they were trying to, find some incriminated threads against Cassie, but it just wasn't making any sense. So long story short, the court was like, we're not allowing these text messages into the trial right now, into the case right now. These are denied. Diddy was visibly upset about that. Was pissed. Got mad about that. I told you guys what the lawyer was saying, okay. Boom, 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 boom. What else? They went over a lot of the employees that work for Diddy. Oh, here's another time. Cassie went to an event and she was talking to a producer at an event. Diddy walked up to her and called her because she was talking to a producer. She punched him and they started fighting. And then Diddy started stomping her in the face. The car was going back to Diddy's house. And once she got back there, she took off running. Diddy had the security go get her and brought her back to the house. He beat her so bad she was vomiting. But then he took her to the London hotel. He made her sneak out of the house and into the London and stay there for a week. She told security that she wanted to go home. She didn't feel safe. She didn't feel safe because she knew that Diddy had access to guns and threats he had made to her before that. But she couldn't talk to her family. She just wanted to go to her mom's house. But the whole thing is, Diddy was like, no, my kid. She was at his house for a minute. But he was like, you got to go put some makeup on. My kids can't see you like this. My son is there. He can't see you like this. Then he had her. So she said every so often, whether it be every other week or every week, she was getting tired because she would have to be in a freaking hotel because she would have to be healing. She said it got to a point where she was so tired. She was like, I can't even work no more. I can't do nothing because I'm always fucking healing. So she would get her ass beat This is what now you know why we didn't get no Cassie album. We didn't get no shows. We didn't get no tours. Every time we saw Cassie, Cassie was getting beat up and then being sent to a hotel to heal or get. What a life! Could you imagine that?
And that's so. What more do y'all need to hear from Cassie? What more do y'all need to hear to understand? Just that's a glimpse of what that woman was going through. A glimpse. That's why it's so upsetting when I hear like ignorant people get online and start screaming at the top of their lungs like, she was not a victim. She was da-da-da-da-da. Like, it don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. Even for the money, even for the fame, it don't make no sense, man. Like, y'all want to vilify this woman so bad. You want this woman to not be a victim so bad so you can keep telling this lie about women that all they want to do is lie, manipulate, and steal, and do all of this stuff. Whole time, nobody is denying that Diddy was putting hands and feet on this woman regularly. Y'all keep saying, because you can't deny that anymore. And this is the sickest part about all of this to me. Y'all can't deny that anymore. So you say, you concede to that, right? You say, oh no, we know Diddy was abusive. Then why is there a but after that? How can there be a but after that? That's the thing that I'm not understanding. Oh, we know Diddy was abusive. Yeah, you got a glimpse. We all saw the video of Diddy whooping on Cassie in the hotel. That was a glimpse. That was a 10-minute glimpse into the life of Cassie at that time. 10 minutes of it. She said that shit was happening regularly every day, every week. And I believe her. Why wouldn't I believe her? I have no reason not to believe her. How can that person also be the problem? How can a person that is suffering that level of abuse also be considered a problem? Like, I'm not saying you forgive everything she did. You dig what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm forgiving everything she did, but I'm saying it, of anybody, right? Like, oh, they was abusing and they unalive somebody, you know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. Like, nah, you're going to have to pay for that. But, it depends on who they unalive, by the way. If they unalive the person that did it to them, I don't care. But if they go out randomly and go unalive a random person, no, you're responsible for that. You know what I'm saying? But come to find out they were abused and da-da-da-da. Yeah, that'll help with the sentencing, whatever. Don't get me wrong. If that were the case, I'm cool, whatever. But everything she did is directly connected to the abuse or the fear of retribution. Every fucking thing she did. Everything she did that was wrong, that somebody would come out here and yell at the top of their lungs and be like, she's just as bad, whatever it's directly connected to Diddy threatening her, beating her, controlling her, manipulating her. One of those things, if not all of those things. So you can't acknowledge those things and then 2 minutes later say, but she out here lying and she a scammer and it don't work that way, fam. It don't work that way. There's no buts in this scenario. This is 100% on Diddy. 100%.